Welcome to Networking RX, a podcast devoted to helping business professionals like you enhance your networking skills in order to become more proficient giving and receiving quality business referrals and improving the overall quality of your life and the lives of those around you. The Networking RX podcast is a production of AmSpirit Business Connections, an organization whose mission is to empower business success through networking.
Welcome to the Networking RX podcast. I'm your host, Frank Agan, founder and president of AmSpirit Business Connections. Today, I have another guest on. As ongoing subscribers know, often it's me sharing ideas, insights, and best practices for building professional relationships and excelling at those business networking skills. Occasionally, however, I am interviewing subject matter experts, authors, speakers, thought leaders, social scientists, and these people share what they know to help us build those relationships and understand how we can network that much better. Today on the program, I have Melanie Boer. She is the president of People First Talent and Retention, which is a HR and culture consultancy. But she's also has a business called Influence Network Media, which is a hybrid publishing company that helps business leaders, coaches, consultants, people with a voice, get their voice out in the community. Melanie, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here.
HR is boring.
Hey, we're disrupting the market here. It's not completely boring.
That's my segue to say I really want to talk about your publishing business.
Okay. I'm happy to do that. I'm excited about both, but yeah, that one's even more exciting to talk about sometimes.
Well, it's you and I met and you were sharing about your publishing business. And I know there's a lot of people out there that kind of roll their eyes like, oh my gosh, I can't write a book. And maybe you can't. And there are ghostwriters out there if you have plenty to say, but there are also people out there that don't feel like they have enough to say. And really that's kind of that's the space you guys kind of play in, giving people a platform. You know what? I'll let you talk about it and then I'll ask questions.
I would love to. Thank you. Well, I never fashioned myself a writer. Took me 3 years to put my book together, and maybe but for COVID, I don't know if it really would have taken, wings and kind of made it happen. But what I found after doing it and the amazing business growth and development that happened because of it, I'm the same person, but now people think I'm more of an expert, right?
Yeah.
So what we did, my business partner, so this other side of the business is called Influence Network Media, and people can check it out, authors.influencenetworkmedia.com. But basically, we created a community of people who want to write. It's all business related, all business leaders. And Jody Brandstetter and I, it's my business partner, we took all the stuff we learned and basically using our human resource background, we said, hey, why don't we put all this hours and hours of knowledge on how to write a book and how to market a book and how to publish a book? Let's put it into a learning management system, which was a very human resourcey type move of us, right? We're going to train people on how to do this. And so we created videos and all these great things. And then we realized, oh, wait a minute, this is a business. Like people really want this. They're asking for this.
Yeah.
So we did that and we just started kind of getting it out there to some of our network, and it's really taken a hold. It's a little bit on fire where business leaders want to grow their business and they're looking for different ways to do it. And as you know, in the power of networking with other people, a book about business or a book about your passion is even more powerful when you can share it with other people. When you can say, hey, I'm writing this book and here's our topic, and I'm just one chapter, but there's these other people that are amazingly writing about what they do, and we're all getting the book out together. It's been a really neat thing to watch.
Well, I have several books, as many of the people listening know. What I have found with respect to books is, or it could be articles, is that it's a way of people getting to know you without you present. It's a very passive sort of a thing. If I were to go to anybody, go to you or whatever, say, listen, I want to share with you all the things that I know as a means of demonstrating my abilities, you would probably say, yeah, I'm not interested. I don't have the time, right? I don't want to talk to you for that long. But if it's in a written form where they can consume it at their leisure, on their own time, on demand, it becomes a way of building trust, building a relationship with them without them even being in the room.
Yeah, we don't have to force it, and they can consume it at their own leisure, right? Maybe
Right.
maybe my chapter is the one that helps them fall asleep every night, but
Sure.
they go to sleep thinking about my work. I'm kind of joking, but you know what I mean.
Right.
The biggest thing we run into is the barriers to writing a book. So if I could, just kind of touch on that a little bit.
Yeah.
People will say, I don't have time. That's how business people are, right? I don't have time to write. I don't have the knowledge to write. I don't know. Well, like, how would I fill a whole book? Or even if I did, how would I get it on Amazon, or how would I market it? Or, and then there's the, I don't have the money, because people are like, hey, am I going to make money on a book? And so we kind of challenge people in a couple ways. And one is to really think about, the book is not something that you're probably going to get rich on, but if you join a collective, so we share the cost of putting a book out, you really, I only need to get one client to make my money back on putting my book out there.
Right.
So the cost thing, once you kind of divide those into fractional, and I write the book with a couple other people, it becomes so much more palatable, a much easier task to accomplish. We say a good chapter is a minimum of 1,500 words, a maximum of 4,000 is where we want to hit. 1,500 words is a blog on steroids, right? If you've written anything before and you have some heart and passion behind it, you can get 1,500 words pretty easily. And that tends to be the trend these days in books. People want something that's digestible. They could pick it up, read it, put it down. And so that's what we think we're creating, and putting some great knowledge out there.
Now, I guess let's talk about the book and the books and the process. How many people are normally in a book? And obviously it can vary. How long start to finish? I don't want to pin you down on cost, because costs change. But if you could talk to ballpark figures, I think that would be helpful. People sometimes don't do things because they don't feel they can afford them. So I don't know if you can address some of those.
Absolutely. So kind of some of the semantics, we do all the heavy lifting in the process. So the business that we've created has actually set it up so we give people a learning management system. They log in, they're basically buying the courses we've put together. Now they can do as much or as little of that as they want. If they feel good about it, great. Don't go through the courses. But if they need help with brainstorming, outlining, overcoming writer's block, and on into how to even market my book for success. Like, there's courses that we've created. It's video courses, probably no more than 2 hours of courses. And that comes with when you buy in to do business with us, with Influence Network Media. So we have a minimum, what we're asking for each author, we say one headshot, your bio, one headshot, one bio, one photo. That's easy. I'm sorry. Your bio is your photo in one chapter. That's it. That's all you really are committing to, as well as making sure you're willing to get the book out to your network, right? So we ask everyone to commit to about 30 people that they think will buy their ebook on the launch day. And we have a whole launch day strategy that we help people with. But that is so that we can win the number one new release on Amazon. And that's a big deal, to make sure that you can hit that number time and time again. That's all part of the marketing strategy. If I was going to talk cost, I would say, going into this, I had a lot more time because COVID had slowed my business down. I always tell people, you need to be prepared to put in 10,000 hours or $10,000. And you can pick, do I have a ton of time to sink into it, or would I rather put money? And even on the money side, if you're going to get a ghostwriter or do anything hitting the bookshelves, you're probably going to need more like 20,000 or more dollars, right? To make those happen. So ours is more of a hybrid process. Even when we put out a collective, we know that like $10,000 number is about where we want to be. So let's just say, as an example, we have about 10 authors. That's what we aim for. So we're dividing that cost up among authors. Again, if we have less authors, we have to be careful of that. Because every chapter needs to be edited. And that's usually the biggest thing. Coaching, getting the editing, making sure that happens. And then formatting into both ebook and paperback. And there's processes behind that. I think I wasn't really smart on when I put my book out. I paid almost $1,200 just for my cover. And I didn't know that it's been a long time. I wanted to perfect it. I wanted it to wrap around the perfect way. I needed it formatted for paperback and ebook, and my designer didn't know exactly how to do it. So it took a lot of time, which again, we can solve that. We don't need to jump through those hoops.
Well, it's a learning curve you've been up.
Yeah. And which makes it, fun to share, but also saves people
a ton of time.
Yeah. So there's definitely value in that. The other thing is our authors, when they come together. So we put out Marketing Fusion earlier this year, and every chapter in there was a different element about marketing, and they were all marketing experts in their own right. So, we had someone who was SEO, someone who did digital marketing and analytics, someone who did strategy, sales funnels, like all these different elements. And what was really cool is when the one woman came to us and she said, Melanie, I've already made my money back, multiple times over, because I have a different skill than all these other people. And they've come to me and said, hey, my client needs that. And I'm like, oh, that's the magic in the sauce, right? We don't all have the same skills. We all do things very differently.
Right.
And if we can come into it with an abundance mindset of, how do I help others? How do I help them grow their business? It's really done some great things for small business owners and the leaders that take the plunge to write.
So you're essentially creating hardback networking groups.
Absolutely. Paperback, ebook, whatever you want.
Right.
It binds you together for life, I want to say. So, I have a couple groups that I'm even encouraging to say, hey, you're someone I refer. I really enjoy doing business with you. Why don't we put our names together? Let's be in a book together. And when someone picks this book up under whatever theme and they see our names together. So I always say that, whose name would you want to see on a cover with you? That's really important. And if a handful of people come to mind, think of what your common theme is, what your fun title might be, and let's write about it. Like that's a collective in and of itself. And we're making those happen, day in and day out. So
now, as these books sell, are the royalties shared amongst the collective, or it's just that people forego that? Or they just trying to understand the mechanics?
Yeah. Let's talk through that. We get that question a lot. How are the royalties shared? And to be honest, Amazon won't allow you to share royalties with, let's say it's 10 authors plus me and Jody and our team or whatever.
You don't know where it's coming from is really what it boils down to.
Correct. Yeah. So we focus less on making money from the book per se, and more on the book as a vessel to grow your business. But let's say if someone does buy, so let's go back to that launch day. On launch day, we dropped the ebook price to $1.99, and that's all part of our marketing strategy. We want people to come in. We need at least 300 people. That's our goal, to buy the book, to get us that number one new release for the day. And so if they're all buying it, let's just say it's around $1.99, Amazon takes their big chunk, and we might get 50 or 60 cents per book that we just roll back into operations and marketing cost.
Sure.
A week later, again, this is very intentional, and I can hear my mother saying, I don't want the ebook. I want the paperback. When we'll say, great, Mom, we want you to get that too, but we're doing this one, spend your $2, please, so we can, win the number one new release. A week later, when the paperback comes out, that's when we kind of are driving it back towards the authors. So as an example, we will get them the paperback. So Amazon does a print on demand, and it's roughly, let's just say the length of the book depends how many authors. We're going to say it's about $5, let's say, to print this book, print on demand. So Frank, if you came to me and said, I have a speaking gig and I want 100 books, we'll say, great, we'll get you those for $5 a piece. You can, so you'd owe us $500, but then you would turn around and sell them for 20 or 25. And yes, then you could make the proceeds in there. So we're not encouraging people to go to Amazon to buy these. We're encouraging business leaders to use them at speaking engagements, sell to their companies, sell from their website, sell from the trunk of their car, whatever it is they want to do to get the word out. Sell to their networking groups, however they want to do it, and they can make the money by distributing it themselves or from their website, which is pros and cons. But again, the focus isn't on making money from the book. It's about growing the person's business. And so if I can talk about that even a minute, not everyone wants to write a book to grow their business, right? People come to us and they say, well, I want to just share my knowledge, or I want to leave a legacy. We've had a couple of writers who said, hey, my company will support this as a form of professional development, and they're big companies. And I'm like, great, let's, what are you going to write about? What's your topic? What's your passion? Some will write because they want to get speaking gigs. There's a lot of places that don't want you to come be a speaker if you don't have a book,
Right.
Or they want to get on podcasts or whatever it is, right? They want to become more of an influencer. And so we believe that when we do this for leaders, that's what we're helping them build up, right? They're building their individual brand and their ability to hopefully be an influencer, but even moreover to grow that business or however they would want. So there's lots of reasons why people are writing. Those are just some of them. And that tends to be the most common reasons why. And then occasionally we get the person who's like, I just want to leave a legacy. I just want to share.
Right.
I just want to professionally develop, but it's usually around business development.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it makes sense. It's, I tell people writing a book will change your life, but not necessarily in ways you might think. I mean, it's not unless your name is Hillary Clinton or
I would say J.K. Rowling or
right.
Simon Sinek.
Yeah, you're not making money doing the book. Even Simon Sinek, I don't know that nobody's come to Simon Sinek and said, as popular as he might be amongst our crowd, he doesn't have the J.K. Rowling type following. And so he's probably doing okay, but he's got to do other things. It's not financially, it's not, financially, it's not going to change your world, but in opening doors, it opens a lot of doors, opens a lot of podcast opportunities, a lot of speaking opportunities, just credibility opportunities, to have sort of on your bio. You had mentioned you had come out with Marketing Fusion, and before we hit record, you're talking about Sales Fusion. What other ones are coming out? And I will tell you, we're about 8 weeks between recording and launch. So whenever we're talking here, it's late May. This is coming out in July-ish. What other books are out there? You have planned, or might it be something somebody came to you and said, hey, how about investing? You want to do a book on investing?
Yeah. When, as long as it's a business topic, we're willing to help people gather the group to write on it, or we love when people gather their own group to write about it, right? Because we have some of our own, which we call internal collectives, and we have people coming to us with their own group that they want to write. That's an external collective, which, by the way, in those cases, we do allow the collective leader to collect their own royalties. We don't, or if we help someone write a solo, they collect their own royalties. It's only when we're leading the collective where we kind of, we do put it out there under our name. So up and coming. Okay, let's see. End of this month, we've got actually end of this week, Leadership Fusion. So depending on when this rolls out, the Fusion series is a collective series, a book series is the word I'm looking for, where we did 5 different books. So Talent Fusion came out. That one is HR and culture-based recruiting. Which came first, the chicken or egg? Do I recruit good people or do I have to retain them?
Right.
And the answer is a little bit of both, right? Marketing Fusion, I told you about. Leadership Fusion comes out later this month. We're gathering people, so this will be well underway. Sales Fusion will be out in October. And then we've got one called People Fusion, how to create and manage great teams. It'll be out, I don't know if it'll be Q4, probably first quarter of next year, but that's a 5-book series. What else? We've got a Women in Business series that's going to be out. Authors are already out there. So that one I think is launching kind of later in the summer, which again, there's some great topics and things around the women in business. I would say if anyone's interested, they should check us out on LinkedIn. So Influence Network Media, and they can see all the authors associated with us. They could reach out to us that way. They can see all the books that we've got going. And into next year, we actually are going to do something we're calling the I3 series. And it's a combination of the topics that keep coming up. People keep asking us for a book on culture and communication, a book on technology and your brand and your strategy, and another one on leaving your legacy and what that strategy and how that impacts your brand. So we've got some things coming out around that for next year. But honestly, if you're a business leader and you're thinking this might be for you, we could find a place. There's so many options floating around out there. I know we could make something happen.
Yeah, no, it's just, I guess it's just spinning your chapter, like legacy. I mean, you can spin something towards that, or
For sure. We had a guy in my one group and he does credit card processing, right? And
Yep.
he said, who would ever read a book if I wrote it? And I said, you're right. I don't think I would read a book, but I would read a chapter. If you told me, what does your company do? Why are you the best at it? What do you do better than anybody else? Tell me a good story about a customer. I could read a chapter about it. And I think that's how everyone should think. Don't be overwhelmed by the, whatever it is, elephant in the room, right? Or whatever. We just take a small piece and know that you can write your chapter about your business.
Totally great. Good way to get a hold of you. What would be a good way to get a hold of you? You gave me the LinkedIn, and I'll get that in the show notes as well.
Thank you. Yeah, LinkedIn's probably the best way. So just look me up, Melanie Boer. If people want to send me an email, they surely could do that as well. Melanie at Thrive with MB, THRIVE, Thrive with, as in Melanie Boer, thrivewithmb.com. But yeah, we're having a lot of fun with this, and I would welcome any conversations for those that would want to learn more.
Sounds great. I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us on the Networking RX podcast. Please put what you've learned into action today and let us know if you have questions, comments, or ideas for future topics. You can email them to us at podcast@amspirit.com. That's AmSpirit.com. Finally, so you never miss an episode, be sure to subscribe to the Networking RX podcast through iTunes, Overcast, or however you receive your podcasts. Now get out and network with someone.
The Networking RX podcast is the copyright production of AmSpirit Business Connection. All rights reserved.